Hello everybody. I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit. Testing out, continuing my endless audio tests of how to figure out how to best sound good for you guys. So I'm trying out, I got a little lav mic here. Let's see if I can even reach to my incense. I'm disconnecting, or I'm all connected up and wired up to these different things, but I figure I gotta light the incense right. There's a synth YouTube guy that I watch. You know, he reviews his synthesizers and stuff. Bo Beats, he's Swedish. And his whole thing is like, every video he does, he always like, oh, I'm gonna take a sip of the coffee. And he just kind of has this theme of coffee continually throughout all of his YouTube videos. So, you know, that's our sip of the coffee. It's our lighting the incense, right? Though I am getting low, I'm gonna have to go hit up the Bhutanese fam, get my incense. All right, take a sip. Oh, oof. Got this string coming off of me. Here, one sec. Okay, cool. All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Jeremy, and I'm here to teach you some meditation today. So just in case you've just stumbled upon this channel, you know, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Also, I am available for private sessions, one-on-one sessions, charging $50 an hour, but I'm open to negotiate. So if $50 is too much for you, just reach out to me. Happy to discuss and figure out some way that we could work together. Also, if you'd like to just make a donation to me and to the channel, you'll find my Venmo information in the bottom. You can also PayPal me and just use my email, jeremyrmcmahan@gmail.com. So before we continue our series about the 5 hindrances, we're on hindrance 3 today, which is actually kind of two sides of one coin, as we will see. I actually got a question from my dad. Apparently my parents are the only people that ask me questions when it comes to meditation. So my dad asked, you know, he was like, well, the Buddha lived about 2,500 years ago. And, you know, he meditated. And so my dad was wondering, you know, where did meditation come from? Who was the first person to meditate? You know, how old is meditation? And short, simple answer, we don't know. I would just say. You know, it's funny, because when you hear about like yoga, you know, like stretching yoga, asana yoga, or even just like Hinduism in general, they always love to talk about like how old it is. They're like, Hinduism's the oldest religion, you know, yoga is thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. It's like 20,000 years old, 15,000, 5,000 years old, you know. So the Hinduism and Hindu thought often works with these like big, or at least that's how it's presented, I would say. But to be honest, most of the Hindu like yoga and philosophy that we're familiar with today was a response to colonialism in the 19th century. So a lot of those types of forms that we're familiar with today, again, they'll always claim that it's like thousands and thousands, thousands and thousands of years old, and maybe the roots of it are, but like when it became codified and coalesced into something, It really was around the 19th, you know, in the 19th, 17th to 18th, 19th centuries, because again, it was a response to colonialism in India. But that doesn't answer the question for Buddhism. It definitely seems like meditation existed before Buddhism did. They say actually in the life story of the Buddha that he practiced every type of religious system that was available to him at the time. And so he did a lot of different meditation practices and techniques prior to becoming enlightened, to becoming the Buddha. And then the thing about the age of Hinduism, though, is that the oldest, I'm going to have to look some things up real quick just because I don't want to lead you astray. But the oldest text in Hinduism is the Rig Veda. And let's just see what this dates to. I think it's like 1500 BCE. Dating. So some people are saying 2000 BCE. A reasonable date close to the composition of the core of the Rig Veda is that of the Mitanni, documents of northern Syria and Iraq, 1450 to 1350 BCE, and then 1400 BCE. So yeah, I was right. Around 1500 BCE. And the thing about the Rig Veda, it's the earliest Hindu text. That really doesn't talk about meditation at all. It's all just about rituals and stuff like that. So I highly doubt that meditation is really as old as a lot of the yogic traditions claim that it is. Because if the Rig Veda only dates to about 1500 BCE, and that's kind of the start of it, does it really stem back thousands and thousands of years? The other thing I want to look up really quick, is the Proto-Shiva seal from the Indus River Valley and what those dates were. Pashupati. Oh. Okay. Well, all right. So Indus River Valley the Indus River Valley civilization was this great civilization that lived along the Indus River. Surprise, surprise. And they're a highly advanced civilization that kind of disappeared, and nobody really knows what happened to them. It doesn't seem to be like there's any evidence of like war or, you know, of somebody just coming and wiping them out. The current, I think, popular hypothesis is that they actually left the cities. People left the cities due to climate change and to the way that the rivers changed their flow, actually. So even 5,000 years ago, they were dealing with climate change. So the one thing that's cool about the Indus River Valley civilization, or one thing that's fascinating, is that we've never been able to figure out their script. And so there are all these little seals. They're called the Indus Valley seals that have these little like kind of cuneiform S markings, but no one has figured out how to decipher them yet. But in one of these seals, as you can see, if I can show this, that is called the Proto-Shiva seal. And so people often think that it is an early version of the Hindu god of Shiva. And you can see that he's sitting in a meditation posture, or what looks like a meditation posture. So this dates around 2000 BCE, or like a little bit after. So, you know, maybe 4,500, 5,000 years old, practice of meditation. But yeah, that's basically what we know about the origin. So not much. But yeah, so thanks for the question, Dad. And then, all right, so now that I got that out of the way, let's jump into the third hindrance. So if you remember, first hindrance number one was sensual desire, right? So that's basically any type of sensual pleasure or craving of the senses that we might have that might come up in meditation. So, it could be meditating and then you want some food. That's a sensual pleasure. Or, you're meditating and you're bored and you're like, oh, it'd be nice to watch some TV right now. That would be sensual pleasure. Or sensual desire. Or it could be for craving to stop the negative senses, or negative sensations, such as why can't my shoulder not hurt when I'm meditating? Or why does my back hurt? Can it stop? So both of those things are sensual desire. The desire for sensual stimulation or to end sensual stimulation. And then the second one is ill will, which is like that kind of feeling that we all get about people that we generally know and maybe even love. But when we're like, oh, he's such a stupid person, why does he always do that? Or like, ugh. Mom, why does mom always do this? Ugh, dad, why does dad always do this? That type of feeling that comes up in meditation. It also can be directed towards yourself. You're like, ugh, I suck at meditating. I'm so bad at it. Why do I even try? Well, that's getting into another one a little bit, but I'll leave that for another time. So, sensual desire, craving for sensual pleasures, sensual stimulation, ill will, kind of an expression of negative feelings towards somebody due to the perception that they don't change. And then the new one that we're on, number 3, is, like I said, it's 2 sides of one coin. It's sloth and torpor. So sloth is probably the easiest one to decide, or to kind of unpack here. So sloth is just not putting in effort, not putting in energy when you're meditating. It's just being lazy about it. And I mean, it's pretty easy to be lazy about meditation, let's be honest. It's pretty easy. You can sit down and look like you're meditating and have everybody fooled, but you're not actually meditating. Or if you're not putting in any effort, then you're not actually meditating. So we want to avoid sloth. Sloth is the thing that that when we notice that we're slacking off a bit in our meditation and maybe we're not as focused on the breath as we should be, or things of that nature, that's sloth. Torpor is the opposite of that, in that it's like having too much energy. It's like being too eager to meditate, and that can throw you off too. And so really the ideal state of mind for meditation is somewhere in between. And I often mention, with the back, you want to keep your back straight but not rigid, and that's a good metaphor for our practice. So it's like you're trying to balance these 2 energies of alertness and calmness, right? Awareness and calmness. You want to be calm yet aware. You want to be calm, but you don't want to be sleepy and drowsy and numb and out of it. And you want to be aware, but you don't want to be hyper excited either. So that's kind of the place we're trying to get to when we're meditating. We're trying to get to some place where we can maintain a level of calmness, but also a sense of awareness too. It's not like we're getting so relaxed that we just fall asleep, That's not the goal here. The goal is to wake up, actually. That's always the thing. People are like, oh, meditation is really good for, helping you sleep. Well, it's actually meant to wake you up. That's the thing. It's supposed to wake you up. So that's the third hindrance, of sloth and torpor. So just keep an eye out for that when we're practicing today. Notice the moments when you're just kind of slacking off. And you're not really focusing too well. And then there may be some moments when you're like, oh, gotta focus on the breath, gotta focus on the breath, gotta focus on the breath, gotta focus on the breath. And that's not what you want either. You just want to notice the breath. We're just watching it. We're not controlling it, we're just watching it, right? So that is sloth and torpor. And so why don't we meditate? All right. So we're going to do the body scan meditation that we usually do. So take a comfortable seat, either cross-legged on the floor or in a chair, and it'll last about 10 minutes. Again, you can feel free to meditate with your eyes open or closed, whatever works best for you, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and you want to keep your back straight, but not rigid, right? So straight, not rigid. That's why we want our backs. That's how we want our minds. All right. So let's do it. We'll start at the ring of the bell. All right. So now we're going to bring our attention to our feet. Just becoming aware of how our feet feel right now in this moment. Maybe they feel warm, maybe they feel cold. Maybe you notice a particular texture touching your feet. However your feet are right now in this moment, just become aware of them and notice how they feel. All right, now we're going to move our attention to our seat, to that place where our body comes in contact with the chair. Just notice how you're held up and feel the support for your practice. Now we're going to bring our attention up to our belly. Begin to notice the belly's natural movements as it flows with the breath. You don't have to change anything about these movements, just become aware of them. Notice how your belly feels right now in this moment. And now we're going to bring our attention up to our heart, to that space in the middle of your chest. Just notice how this part of your body feels right now. Become aware of any sensations that might arise. All right, now we're going to move our attention up to our shoulders. Just begin to notice how they feel right now in this moment. Again, there's nothing change about your shoulders. Just notice how they feel. Now we're going to bring our awareness to the back of the head, feeling a part of our body we don't often think about. All right, now we'll move our attention back down to our feet. Noticing any textures that may be touching them. Now we'll move our attention up to our seat, where our body comes in contact with the chair or the floor. Now I bring my attention up to our bellies, noticing its subtle movements. Now we'll bring our attention up to our heart, feeling that space in the center of our chest. Now we'll move our attention up to our shoulders, just noticing how they are right now, in this moment. Now we'll move our attention to the back of the head, just noticing this part of our body. All right, now we'll bring our attention back down to our feet. Now we'll bring our attention up to our seat. Now we'll bring our awareness up to our belly. Now we'll bring our awareness up to our heart. Now we'll bring our awareness up to the shoulders. And then lastly, to the back of the head. All right, in just a moment I will ring the bell, ending our first round of meditation. Okay, so let's take a break, quick break, and then we'll go into a round of breath meditation, about 3 to 4 minutes of breath meditation. And yeah, again, if anybody has any ideas about future topics or any questions, feel free to reach out. in the chat, leave a comment. If you got my number, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Happy to, cater this programming to, what people want. So any feedback is greatly appreciated. Cool. All right, so let's jump into round number 2. So this time we'll be focusing on our breath. So you want to place your attention in your body wherever you feel the breath the strongest. So generally for people, that's either in your belly, your chest, or the tip of the nostrils. And here, of course, the goal isn't to control your breath, it's just to watch the natural movements of the breath. So you don't have to change anything, just pay attention. And once you notice you're no longer paying attention, recognize that and bring your attention back to the breath. Okay? Just checking the time. All right, here we go. Now we're going to bring our attention to our breath, placing our attention in the body wherever we feel the breath. Don't have to change anything about the breath, just watch it and notice its natural movements. And if a thought or feeling comes up and you get distracted, just recognize that and bring your attention gently back to the breath. And if you get distracted, a memory from the past or a plan for the future comes, takes you away, that's truly okay. Just recognize that you've been distracted and gently bring your attention back to the breath. And if you catch yourself and you're no longer following your breath, just recognize that. Gently bring your attention back to the breath. All right, in just a moment, I will ring the bell, ending our second round of meditation. Okay. Let's just take another quick break before we get started. Okay, let's do one more round. Again, be about 3 to 4 minutes. This time, no guidance. You're going to be on your own. But just remember, whenever you notice you're not watching your breath, just recognize that and gently bring your attention back to the breath. All right, once you hear the bell, we're going to start. All right, in just a moment, I will ring the bell, ending our third round of meditation. Once I ring the bell, I invite you to join me in a bow, dedicating all the merit that we've accrued today to the benefit of all sentient beings. All right. Well, thank you very much for practicing with me today. Again, it doesn't look like there's any questions, so that's all right. I'll wait. I'm sure you'll have a question for me next time. Oh, got something. From, my boy Jason. Excellent stuff. Biggest question is, why did you choose NYC as home as opposed to LA, Western cities? That doesn't have anything to do with meditation. I don't know, man. Let's see. Well, okay. So let's back up. Before I graduated from college, everybody was like, "What do you want to do? You're majoring in religious studies. What the hell are you going to do with that?" And all I told them my whole senior year of college was, "I want to go back to Nepal." That was what I would tell people, is like, I'd want to go back to Nepal. I studied in Nepal in college, and I was just like, I just want to go back. And I did. After I graduated, it was sort of a kind of serendipitous thing. I got in contact with the study abroad company I used to work for, and I studied abroad with, and I was like, "Hey, any job openings?" And they're like, "Well, actually, we want to add a teaching assistant position in Nepal. Can you come to Nepal in like 4 days?" And I was like, "All right." So I did. It was kind of a whirlwind, but I did fly out. It was like less than a week. I figured out and got my plane ticket, and I was off. So I did that for about 2 semesters, and I really thought I wanted to be like an expat. I thought I wanted to actually like live in Nepal like for years. But after about 2 semesters of it, I was pretty over it, actually. And I was like, yeah, dang, I want to go back in the U.S., which was a good thing, it was a good thing to learn. And so I came back. That was like May 2011 when I got back. And I just stayed at home in Virginia Beach, where I grew up originally. So I just did that. Then I went to New York. And of course I'd visited New York before, but I was actually going to New York on my way to visit my friend Jeremy in Spain. I was going to fly out of New York, and I was coming and staying with my cousin in New York for a bit beforehand and afterwards. And I was just like, man, I didn't know what I was doing, in Virginia Beach. I also just got out of a relationship at that point in my life, and I was just like, I just want to live in New York, man. I just love walking here. I just love the streets. I love the energy. I don't know. And to be fair, I haven't really spent much time in LA. But, in general, like New York things more appeal to me than LA things. I think I'm more of like a New York East Coast vibe than an LA West Coast vibe. Though LA does have its certain appeals for me. Find me a job out there, I'll fucking move out to LA. But until then, I'm gonna stay in New York, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. And it just also, a big part of why I wanted to be in New York too, after just that initial feeling, was because I wanted to work at the Rubin Museum of Art, which I did for 7 years. And just to be able to work in a Himalayan art museum where I could talk about this stuff and teach about Buddhism, and it was really such a fantastic platform because I got to just talk to everybody about this stuff. And so that was a big reason for why, you know, I really stayed in New York too, was so I could work at the Rubin. There's another comment. It does have to do with the meditation mindset. Just curious as to why to choose NYC coming back from Nepal. Yeah. I think another thing too is just like, because Nepal and India, it's so like sensually stimulating. Talking about sensual desire, funnily enough, it's like, I mean, it's just so overwhelmingly sensual in India and Nepal. There's so many people, there's so many things to see, there's so many like powerful smells, you know, powerful experiences. It's just like kind of a more like extreme way to live. And then when I got back to, you know, Virginia Beach in the suburbs, and it was just like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I don't know, I just remember like right when I got back and just like overhearing people in the grocery store complain about benign, or what I felt like were benign things. And I was like, why are you complaining? I was like, every building has air conditioning, you know, we all have electricity all the time, we all have fantastic internet connections. Like, we're all driving around in our own cars. Like, why are you what do you have to complain about? And so, I don't know, I just coming up to New York, it just felt like there's more of an edge to living here, and it's more kind of, you know, it's also an extreme place to live. So I feel like I got used to kind of that sensual stimulation that I would feel in India and Nepal, and I found it in New York. I found it mirrored in New York, actually. And I don't know, I mean, for me, like the first thing I said when I got to Kathmandu, the first thing I said, I was like, I don't know why, this is just what struck me. I was like, this is the closest I'm ever gonna get to living to New York City in the 70s. So I don't know, I just like, for me on a gut level, there's some type of connection between Kathmandu and New York that I can't really explain. It's both powerful places, powerful, inspirational places, where a lot of cool stuff has gone down. So yeah, I guess that's why I like New York. But you know, everybody, every New Yorker, if there's something that all New Yorkers love talking about, is they love talking about how much they want to leave New York. So you know, that's always on my mind. Too. We'll see what comes. Cool. And then one more question from Jason. Did I have a tipping point that led me to meditation? No, I always was very interested in meditation. And of course, like Buddhism and studying Buddhism, but for a long time that was all I did, was I just studied it. I wasn't a practitioner. And I mean really the thing that got me into seriously meditating was my meditation teacher, Tom, who I met at the Rubin Museum. And he, I don't know, yeah, he's something. I don't know if he's enlightened. I'm sure you wouldn't say he's enlightened, but you know, I think he's a lot closer than most of us are. And he was always around the Rubin, and we'd always like talk, and he'd tell me a lot about the artwork, which was cool. And then I remember I asked him specifically about the Lamdre, the Lamdre is a particular system of becoming enlightened that belongs to the Sakya school of Tibetan Buddhism. And I remember asking him about the Lamdre, and he looked at me and his eyes just like lit up, and he's like, "Oh, you want to know about the Lamdre, eh?" And so we started meeting, and we would meet on a weekly basis pretty much, and he'd spend 2-3 hours just talking to me about this system of meditation, and talking to me about meditation. And like he never asked anything of me. He never asked for money. He was so generous with his time, and I was like, I gotta meditate. This dude is investing in time in me, and I really need to honor that by doing meditation, because he wants me to, he's expecting me to do it. He's not just telling me this stuff so that I know about it. Like, he's really inquiring about my practice. And so that's really what pushed me over into really practicing regularly, was having a teacher, I guess I would say. Having Tom there, and again, just somebody, it's really special when you have somebody that you can talk to one-on-one about these things, and really going deep to what your personal needs are. And that's what I'm trying to do with my private sessions, honestly, is sort of mimic what Tom did with me, along with more meditation, actual meditation of us meditating together. Because every meditator's journey is unique, and everybody is going to have unique challenges and pitfalls and just different things that they're going to have to face when it comes to their practice. So it can be really helpful to have somebody with that personal touch. And so again, if that's something you'd like, I am available, and feel free to reach out, and we can work out some type of deal where I can help you, really help you with your practice, and personalize your practice so that it meets your needs. Cool. Well, thank you all. This is a longer video, but I do appreciate the questions, and I do like talking about this stuff. I hope you enjoyed hearing about it, a little bit about my journey. I've been meaning to do a video where I just talk about sort of my background, but I haven't done it yet. Also working on, I don't know, man, this week I've just been like, ugh. I probably shouldn't talk about this as a meditation teacher, but I've been really distracted this week a lot. And I think it's just the quarantine kind of wearing me down. But anyway, yeah. So I want to do that video. I also want to put out the music that I've been working on. I said I wanted to put it out this week. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get to it this week, to be honest. But keep an eye out for it. Hopefully within the next couple weeks or so, I'll have the tracks ready for you all, so that you can meditate on your own. And yeah, so thank you all again for practicing with me today. I do really appreciate it. And, I'll see you next time, Tuesday, 2:00 EST. All right. Stay compassionate. All right. That includes being compassionate for yourself.